Well, this is it. Today, as we speak, the recording of this video is going on. The Dow, in CNBC's words, not mine, is cratering down 4%. We have just witnessed Japanese markets completely implode. We are seeing upheaval in the UK, riots all across the country and around Europe, and it is not being reported in the mainstream media. This is an incredible day that I want to go over some news headlines with you today. As we see this massive sell-off, Dow Jones over 1,000 points right now, we are also seeing a sell-off in gold and silver, just like I've explained so many times before. However, we see stories coming out saying that, like, JP Morgan thinks that in 2025 silver's going to soar. Silver's down almost 5%, gold's down almost 2%. The crypto markets completely hemorrhaging this weekend. My buy orders went in. You know that I've been in cash for the last week and a half, 3 weeks now, waiting for this event, and my buy orders have been triggered. As a matter of fact, I'll be picking up some more later today. This is what I've been telling you, these events where you want your dry powder off to the side. You always want to keep some cash off to the side for these. Now, before we get into the stories, I want to explain something really very clearly, because we're also going to talk about mortgage rates, because they've dropped pretty significantly. But I believe a little short-term route. I think within the week, and this is just my opinion, this is not some prophecy or some financial advice, you're going to see it calm down. This isn't the big event. However, you're going to see this rattle people, rattle markets. It can get definitely worse than it is now. And what's happening is people all around the world are watching for what the Fed is going to say and what the government is going to do. Okay? That's my personal opinion. However, being ready for the big event, which again is not here yet, is so vitally important. If you don't have your credit score up, if you aren't out of debt or getting out of debt, where your debt's manageable, you are going to miss out on the greatest opportunity of your life. I'm not joking. I cannot make that statement any stronger. There are way too many people in this world, on the mainstream media and in the financial press, the social media, that want you to go out and buy index funds and run around and buy some screwball NFT. And for the last handful of years, I said, you're going to regret that. Okay? This is my third market cycle. I know I joke around a lot, but I am very serious about watching you become successful and not be a part of the craziness. Okay. And today, what we're seeing in the markets, as I look down at the tickers, is absolute crazy. All right. So let's start with the first bit of news right here, and we'll go on to CNBC, and it's about the Dow. Dow dropping 1,000 points in a global market rout. It says U.S. stocks fell sharply on Monday as part of a global sell-off centered around U.S. recession fears. Japan's Nikkei 225 plunged 12% in its worst day since, please hear this, the 1987 Black Monday crash for Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 1,089 points, or 2.7%. The Nasdaq Composite fell 3.6%, and the S&P 500 slid 3.1%. The blue chip Dow earlier fell as much as 1,200 points. Fear of a U.S. recession were the main culprit for the global market meltdown after Friday's disappointing July job reports. Investors are also concerned that the Federal Reserve is behind in cutting rates to bolster an economic slowdown. All right, let me stop right there and say, here, check this out. This is a great comment, super chat. It's wishful thinking to think that credit will matter. Thank you for the super chat, but that thought is so far off. It's incredible to me. I was actually going to make a video about it because I saw comments here today, your credit score is not going to matter soon. You are high as a kite if you think that. You see, the reason why I say that with a lot of confidence is that credit and debt is not going away. We live in a system where a group of people, the money changers, can actually make money out of thin, stinking air. Print it on a piece of paper or put it in a 1 or a 0 in digit form in your bank account. Do you think for a second, a freaking second, they're going to stop that? that all of a sudden we're going to go to gold and silver and we're going to be bartering. No, that's not how it works. How it does work is a bunch of simpletons, and I mean this very sternly. Simpletons, people that do not think very critically. They think simply. They think that the whole thing's just going to implode and we're just going to reset. No, that's not correct. What happens is those simpletons, their credit score gets destroyed because they were sitting on the sidelines, acting like buffoons, playing soccer, playing video games, running around, indulging in their own fantasies or thoughts, letting their ears be tickled, thinking that the whole thing's just going to go away. It absolutely is not. Credit is here to stay. And while those people get completely wrecked in these markets because they simply stop paying a credit card bill because the government's probably more than likely during this next crisis going to say, you don't have to pay. And you know what's crazy about that? We've just recently seen that during the global shutdown. You don't need to pay your mortgage. This isn't your fault. We're all in this together. And guess what? Go ahead and take forbearance. And your credit got screwed. And now you're out on the sidelines and you can't have access to debt markets. While smart people were actually working diligently, got hooked up in the debt markets, have their credit score ready to go, and sit there and go, oh, someone's losing their house? I'll take that thing over. And the bank goes, please do. You've got a 750, 800 credit score. Come take that house. And that's how the real world works. So if you're going to be that type of person that sits there and thinks that we're going to be bartering in gold and silver, which the money changers detest, okay? Or you think your credit's not going to matter, you need to go and watch somebody else on YouTube that is a complete moron, because then you'd at least feel normal. And I'm not joking. Now, type 1 if you agree with what I just said. Type 2 if that pisses you off. And then as you're typing 2, just hit the door, man. The side door is over there, and I'm not offended at all. I'm busy trying to wake people up to how the world actually works. And good news, didn't take a degree to get there. So here we go. But again, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. That is a coffee. Where am I headed here? Oh, mortgage rates. A lot of people are about to get completely wrecked in mortgage rates because they're collapsing right now. Famine. Okay. Yeah. The famines happen quite often throughout history. And yes, there is a famine coming. And people that are ready for the famine and have extra food and stuff like that and have thought ahead are still going to be going out and buying properties. Famines don't stop real estate transactions. Famines don't stop stock markets. Famines don't stop anything other than people eating that or not eating as much. The Dust Bowl. All right, here we go. Look, I want to say there's 24 hours left for the Credit Score Pro. For those of you that want to work on that and get that score built up massively, and for the Mortgage Master, those of you that are about to refinance, and we're going to talk about that right now, there are a lot of people that are about to get wrecked because mortgage rates just dropped pretty significantly over the last 10 days. I talked to my mortgage insider, and he said over the last 10 days, 30-year fixed rates have dropped around 0.5%. With 0 points. And even with almost no points, 0.01, we've seen now rates at like 6 5/8, which is pretty significantly lower on a percentage basis in the last 10 days. But here is the problem. Most people go screaming and running to their mortgage guy to go and refinance right now because you haven't even seen rates start dropping yet significantly. And they don't consider the amount of money they're paying for that refinance. They're going to wrap it up into the mortgage, and they just tacked on that much more debt. So let's just say the refinance costs another $3,500 to $7,000, right? Let's just throw out some round numbers. They refinance that, they wrap it into the loan, so they don't see it, and they've got a little bit lower of a payment. What, $100? Well, you're supposed to divide that $100 into the 7K, and it goes, oh, wow, it's going to take me a boatload of time to pay that money back. But they don't see it because the payment's lower, right? Because they're freaking out. Well, now you got to consider, since that's front-loaded mortgage interest now, that 7K that just got wrapped in, think about how much extra you're paying each month. People don't think about that stuff. So you want to sit back and wait until banks are really wanting to give out those deals, and they're really starting to move significantly lower. But that's just me. I like saving money, and part of saving money is having a little bit of, a little bit of time to pull back, think about what you're doing, and then act decisively. So it says, obviously, we're talking about this massive drop because of fears of recession. Fears of a recession. Now, remember, this is now hitting the mainstream media. It's all over. I guarantee you people are going to be talking about this at the water cooler, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. So let me ask you this. As of right now, this is a perfect example. I've been talking about this for 3 years to everyone that buys gold and silver. When the stock market drops, it affects everything. Like this guy's getting bored right now. Everything drops. All right. And then you see everybody run into bonds. Well, bonds right now are down to 3.759, the 10-year, right? Which is having a drastic effect on mortgage rates. And that is because everybody is diving in. They're selling off stocks. They're selling off gold and silver paper shares. They're selling off even some crypto, and they're diving in to the bond market, which is taking rates and dropping them significantly. Now, something I want to note is during these events, you have these short-term drops in the bond market where people dive in. But right now, unlike any other time since 1980, we have persistent inflation. Okay. This is a knee-jerk reaction on a lot of algorithmic traders and a lot of individuals. But we still have inflation to deal with. So what's going to happen tomorrow or next week? Bond yields will start to slowly come up. Now, we are in a time where we're collapsing so bad that last year went through this massive banking crisis. The FDIC went insolvent. Banks are reeling still from it. Large banks, because they're having to pay way more in FDIC insurance. But it's so bad that the Treasury is out buying long-dated bonds from banks. So to anyone that woke up this morning and saw all of this stuff and said, I didn't hear about this on Meet Kevin, it's because they have no clue. They have zero clue. None of these kids have been through a market turn ever, but they're making millions and millions of dollars each month, telling people to buy index funds. Just go buy index funds. Everything's going to be fine. I don't think they've ever really talked about the last two downturns in the stock market where the Dow lost 50% of its value happened merely in the last 24 years. But hey, this time is different. That's just how it is these days. Again, this isn't the start. A bunch of your financial YouTubers are going to think this is it. Oh, crap, we're screwed. They're going to have all those headlines, right? But the reality is this is going to pop up a little bit. The big one comes a little bit later, right after that election. You watch 2025 and your mouth's going to drop. So if you're not literally focused on your finances right now and sharpening that financial pencil, for lack of better terms, you're going to get caught up into something you're not going to like. And I want you on the flip side of that. This is the time to be studying, to be going to work, going to school, as far as getting ready for this. Now, gold today, I personally will pick up some silver. Silver's down, what, 27, 25? This is an excellent day. I will call my broker and I am going to ask for some silver. This is one of the days, and I do believe silver can drop more. Please understand that. But I don't have a crystal ball to sit there and go, what's the price of silver going to do? So I buy on weakness. And because I'm a long-term holder, whatever you want to say, a long-term investor in like specifically silver, I'm going to buy on a pullback and I'm going to be proud of myself because I can guarantee you this. If I ask my broker today how many people are calling, they're going to say nobody, because nobody buys on weakness. Because most of the investment community are speculators. They're retail investors. And that is the weak, stupid money. If you talk to money managers, trust me, that's exactly how they talk. And that's what we need to change in America. We need to buy things not because of FOMO, because we're freaking out because we're going to miss out. We need to buy things because we understand the fundamentals of those investments and we act decisively. Think clearly, act decisively. That's what we pounded into all of our rookie firefighters, and it's so vitally important. So today, I will be making a call and buying some more silver. I'm also looking at the crypto markets. You know, I bought yesterday. I bought at the 200-day moving average. When you tap the 200-day moving average on any stock, more than likely, that is support. However, there are times it breaks support, and last night it did. So since I didn't use all of my cash, I'm going to be buying more on this weakness. However, I'm going to be putting prices that are a little bit lower than where we are right now, even though they're lower since the day that I bought them. I'm going to be doing a wash trade with all of my current crypto, where I'm not going to go into that. I can't give tax advice. I'm not a tax advisor, but that's what I'll be doing, wash trades. And this is all really cool stuff that most people would be freaking out about. But if you have your portfolio set up where you have your 7 or 8 baskets that are non-correlated investments, they're spread around the world, this is where you make, these are the days that you live for. Because the second, let's say, crypto pops right back up, Bitcoin goes from 53 to 58, you're going to see a lot of these altcoins like Solana, XRP. Well, not XRP, that's being destroyed by the government right now. They're trying their hardest. But a lot of these other cryptos, Bitcoin Cash and stuff, you're going to see them pop on a percentage basis way above what Bitcoin does. Even though Bitcoin's dominance and the leader, these other altcoins outperform all the time. So check this out. I'm sure that Zero Hedge has some amazing things. And again, there's 24 hours left. If you want to do the 2-course bundle, I don't know when we're going to do that price again, but it's on Mortgage Master and on the Credit Score Pro. I want to show people how to go from bad credit to great credit, or good credit. But I want to show people, a lot of people too, if you got a 720, let's show you how to get up to an 800, because you're going to want that thicker binder, that stellar credit score when you move into, and there's ways, and I teach it in that class too. If you want to pay a corporation, a company to do it, because you're doing what you do to make money and you want to pay, I've seen companies that are stellar out there that charge anywhere from like $300 to the most I've ever heard of is $1,000 or $1,200, something like that. I think it was $1,200 to fix somebody's credit and get it just skyrocketing. If you don't got the time for it, I'll teach you how to do that too. But I also teach you how to go do this yourself. It's a lot of work, but depending on how much you make in life, it could be a huge deal. I used to do a lot of things. The more when I was first starting out investing and hustling, I used to do everything myself. And then over time, as I started making more and more money, 10 years ago, I started finding little things where it was better to pay someone to do it because I made more money doing what I did. And so I had to move out of that. And that was actually a really hard thing to do. Moving from a poverty mindset into a wealthy mindset is actually quite a hard thing to do. I need to make a video about that and put out some points of things that I went through. But here we go. This is out of Zero Hedge. Black Monday is what they're calling it, but it's not. Trust me, you have not seen anything yet. Right after the election, between the election and the end of 2025, you're going to see something that will trump Black Monday of 1987. Okay, I want you to understand that. And it is 100% going to have to do with the person I just said, okay? And it's not going to be his fault. It is going to be a planned demolition of the economy where wealthy people that have been planning this for a long time, including other countries, are going to be involved and going to take the economy out of its knees. Said, good morning and welcome to a global market meltdown sparked by last week's catastrophic BOJ decision to hike rates by 15 basis points, or 0.15 basis points, which in turn crushed 20 trillion yen carry trade, sent the yen exploding higher and wiping out trillions in high leveraged investments. Now, why is this incredibly important? This is what you need to know. As the yen is imploding right now, Japan is going to stop buying bonds, US bonds. They have to absolutely focus on the yen. They've already started doing that. They were slowing down their purchase of US bonds, thus creating less of a market for our debt, okay? Think hyperinflation, all right? So the Treasury had to step in and start buying up bonds. The Fed has stepped in and started buying bonds. So now this is even worse. So now Japan has said if it got any worse, they're going to have to sell our bonds. So now they are going to start selling our bonds that they're holding, thus creating an event where you're going to have some liquidity in the market. Or actually, I don't think you're going to have a ton of liquidity because who's going to want to buy our bonds from Japan? So they could be marked down. If that happens, you are going to see movements in the market, in our bond market, that will blow your mind. You will see the balance sheet of the Treasury and the Federal Reserve balloon higher. I do believe you're going to see that going into the election. Japan is going to have to start selling our bonds. And I believe that you're going to see China and Russia and an operation, a plot that they have been setting up for, since 2015 is when I started hearing about it. It's an event coming where they're going to start to sell. All these countries are going to start to sell our bonds at the same time. They're going to dump them on the markets. I know it sounds crazy because a lot of people go, why would they dump their investments? And this is at the end of my videos, I always put like something important that you really need to hear, right? Because I really want to favor those that take the time to listen and bless them with some knowledge. But I want you to understand how big of a deal this is. This operation, and a long time ago, it was being taught, and I'm blanking out on the name of the operation. But put it down below if you guys know about it, because this is something that's actually quite known. It was that these BRICS nations were going to get together in one day to start coordination, a dumping of these bonds. But nobody wants to be pointed out as the bad guy, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to wait for a specific time that it looks like it wasn't their fault they had to do it. They had to sell some bonds. And this is the perfect example of what could happen. Operation Sandman, I believe that's it. What they were going to do is when Japan starts to sell, because it is very obvious that their currency is imploding, and they have to sell US bonds to be able to then take those proceeds and go and buy yen, right? Go buy yen on the market, pulling it off the market, thus creating scarcity and a little bit less freak out. This is exactly what the Fed does when something goes wrong. Hey, we're going to intervene. We're going to start buying bonds. We're going to start putting liquidity in the right places, and we're going to reduce the amount of liquidity in others. And this is going to cause a downturn in our markets, because then other countries will say, yeah, you know what, things aren't looking good, and we want to sell a little bit before the bonds collapse. And so we're going to sell, and it's going to make it worse and worse. But it's going to take their currencies and strengthen them to the US dollar. That is how a US dollar crash happens. And again, I want to remind anybody that thinks for a second the dollar is going to nothing and it's going to go away. You're high as a kite. That's not how the world, that woke them up. That's how it works. Okay. The money changers are never going to give up control of printing money out of nothing. You understand that? Do you get it? Seriously, you got to add some comedy in here every once in a while. I wish I had this guy in my backyard all the time. Would you hang out with me? Yeah. Yeah, he would. Look, I hope you got something out of this. If you want to start working on this stuff, if you want to start learning about this stuff, it's what I do. I'll tell you what, this is the last day that I'm doing this bundle course for Mortgage Master and the Credit Score Pro. Credit Score Pro is almost done. The editor's working on it right now. If after 14 days you take the course, you watch less than 50% of it, and you say, hey, this isn't for me, I'll give you your money back. I care more about you walking away and going, Ninja, I absolutely crushed it. I took your courses. It changed my life. I want to do something completely different. And for the cost of these courses, it's a joke. It's way less than a college course. So if you want to take a chance on yourself, you want to take a chance on me, let's see what we can do with this in the next 6 months as this market implodes, because I want to see you own houses cash. This ain't a joke. I want you to become a bank. And that's what my goal is, to teach the middle class how to become rich again by becoming their own bank and not being a slave to lender. That's your call to action. Hope you have a great day. The Economic Ninja is out.